This is another podcast from Alpha Business Media. Welcome to a new deep dive. Today we're zeroing in on a really fascinating analysis. It spotlights a country just brimming with opportunity, Nepal, and its rapidly emerging EdTech scene.
That's right. We've been digging into this recent piece. It's titled New Wave of EdTech in Nepal, Localized Platforms for Qualification and Language Learning. And honestly, it paints a pretty clear picture of what's going on there.
Yeah, so our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack the why and the how behind this significant opportunity that EdTech seems to represent in Nepal right now. We want to understand, the specific challenges the analysis says it's addressing, and maybe more importantly, what kinds of business models look best positioned for success there.
And what jumps out right off the bat from the source is how it identifies this really fundamental issue, sort of at the heart of Nepal's economy and education system. It's this major gap between what traditional schooling offers and the practical skills people actually need for jobs today, whether they're looking locally or thinking about working abroad.
So the core insight, basically, is that this gap, while it's definitely a challenge, the analysis frames it more as a huge market opportunity, specifically for EdTech solutions built for the Nepali context.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. Why now? What makes the timing so perfect, according to this analysis?
Well, the analysis points to several pretty powerful factors, all converging at once. Kind of like a perfect storm, but, for opportunity.
Okay, intriguing. What's the first ingredient in this storm, then?
They call it the demographic engine.
Yeah.
Just imagine a country where more than half the population is under 25.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not just a number. The source really highlights this as Nepal's demographic dividend. It's this massive group of young people. And I guess they're not scared of tech, are they? They probably grew up with phones in their hands.
Exactly right. This isn't a generation you need to, convince about using screens or online tools. They're digitally native. For them, online learning isn't some weird foreign concept. It's just normal, a natural extension of how they live. Plus, this generation is hungry, ambitious, wants self-improvement, sees online learning as a genuine path to a better future. That alone drives huge domestic demand.
Right. That ambition connects directly to the next big factor the analysis talks about, the skills gap.
Yeah, this is presented as the main pain point, really fueling the need for EdTech. While traditional education gives you the theory, the diplomas, it often doesn't actually equip graduates with the practical, hands-on skills employers are desperate for right now.
You hear about this skills gap globally, but the source seems to emphasize it's particularly sharp in Nepal. Companies really struggle to find people who know digital marketing or graphic design, modern sales, data analysis.
That's it. Graduates might have the paper qualifications, but they lack the practical tools to, say, step right into those roles. So the analysis positions EdTech, especially these short, intensive courses, focused on very specific, in-demand skills as a direct solution. It sort of bridges that gap, helping both the person needing a job and the company needing the talent.
Okay, makes sense. And this is all becoming actually possible because of increasing digital accessibility, right? That's growing quickly too.
Yeah, mobile phone use and internet penetration are climbing significantly across Nepal. Now, the analysis does acknowledge, connectivity can still be patchy sometimes in some areas.
Sure.
But it stresses that for EdTech platforms to work, they must be designed mobile first. And crucially, they need to offer offline viewing options for downloaded lessons. That's key.
Yeah.
That makes learning possible pretty much anywhere, even if you don't have a rock-solid constant signal.
That's a super practical point for the Nepali context. And then finally, the analysis points to the huge impact of the globalization of the workforce.
Oh, this is critical. Nepal's economy, as you probably know, relies heavily on remittances money sent back by citizens working overseas.
Right.
This creates this massive ongoing demand for training. And it's not just for the specific job skills needed abroad, but also for language proficiency and, importantly, cultural adaptation.
The source mentions things like preparing for specific programs like the SSW in Japan or the EPS in Korea, which need very targeted training.
Exactly. And it's not just about migration either. You've got Nepal's growing IT outsourcing sector. Professionals there need fluent English, often specific international certifications. EdTech offers a really flexible, efficient way to deliver that kind of targeted training.
Okay, so we've got this convergence, this huge, young, tech-savvy population, a very clear skills gap, better digital access, and strong demand driven by global work opportunities. That definitely lays out the why. But the big question then becomes, what does the analysis say actually works on the ground? Like, what kind of EdTech solutions are genuinely suited for this unique Nepali landscape?
Yeah, and the analysis is really firm on this. You can't just, copy paste a successful EdTech model from the US or Europe and expect it to work in Nepal. Success hinges on solving local problems, resonating deeply with the local culture, the local needs. It then details 3 specific, scalable business models that it reckons have the highest potential.
Okay, let's dig into those. What's the first one? The Skill Suo platform. It says here, practical skills in your pocket.
Yeah, the concept is pretty straightforward. A mobile app focused on short, really practical video courses. Think maybe 2 to 8 weeks long, hyper-focused on skills you can use immediately in the job market. The whole emphasis is on doing, not just knowing.
And who are they targeting with something like this?
It's quite broad, actually. Students who need to add practical skills before they graduate. Recent grads may be struggling to land that first job, people looking to switch careers. Even, say, housewives wanting skills to start a small home business or find flexible work.
What sort of courses are we talking about? The examples?
Oh, yeah, very concrete ones. Across different areas, like digital skills, SMM basics for small business, or maybe WordPress without code. Business skills like using the Tally accounting program, or just accounting basics. And practical technical skills, things like basic smartphone repair, electrical installation, or even specialized vocational stuff like coffee making for baristas. It's all about direct, job-ready application.
And how does this model tackle that crucial localization piece we talked about?
That's absolutely central to it. The analysis really hammers this home. Courses must be taught in Nepali by local experts who actually understand the market realities there.
Okay.
Lessons are broken down into short dynamic videos, maybe 5 to 15 minutes each. Classic micro-learning, right? Designed to be watched on a phone, maybe during a commute or a break. And it's intensely practical homework, tests, a final project to build a portfolio.
And crucially, it tries to link the learning to actual opportunities, yeah.
Yes. The platform would issue its own certificate. But the analysis suggests strong partnerships with local companies, maybe even a job exchange feature right on the platform. That helps graduates actually find work, adding really tangible value beyond just the learning.
Makes sense. And how does this Skill Siwa model make money?
The source suggests a freemium approach. Offer some intro lessons free to draw people in, then charge a one-time affordable fee for full course access.
Affordable being key.
Absolutely. The analysis mentions prices around 1,000 to 5,000 Nepali rupees per course. It really emphasizes that affordability is vital for mass adoption.
Okay, got it. Model 2, the Bideshi Bhasa app, the language bridge for global opportunities. Sounds like it's directly tailored for that workforce globalization factor.
Precisely. This is a specialized language learning app built specifically for Nepalese folks planning to work or study overseas.
So the target audience is very clear then. Potential labor migrants, students heading abroad, IT specialists with global clients, people in tourism.
Exactly. And the features are laser focused on their specific needs. It emphasizes target languages like English with specific modules for tests like IELTS or TOEFL prep, Japanese, particularly for that SSW program, Korean for the EPS system, plus Arabic, relevant European languages.
But it's not just like generic Duolingo-style lessons.
Not at all. What the analysis says makes this model stand out is the focus on contextual learning. So instead of just abstract grammar, it gives you dialogues and vocabulary for real situations they'll actually face. Things like interviewing at a Japanese company or communicating with a patient if you're going into healthcare abroad, or even just navigating immigration.
And the cultural adaptation, too. That sounds important.
Yeah, vital. It includes these mini lessons on the culture, the etiquette of the destination country. That can be just as crucial as the language itself. And a huge point for accessibility, the entire app interface, the grammar explanations, customer support, it's all in Nepali.
That lowers the barrier significantly.
Hugely. Plus, it suggests using gamification points, levels, rewards to keep learners motivated, because learning a language, especially for specific tests, can be tough.
And monetization for this Bideshi Bhasa app.
An affordable subscription, monthly or annual. The source also mentions potential add-ons, like maybe paying a bit extra for a teacher to check your written work, or for one-on-one online speaking practice sessions.
Right. Okay, third model. The corporate Gurukul platform focusing on B2B solutions for corporate growth. This shifts the focus from individuals to businesses needing to train their staff.
Exactly. This one's presented as a SaaS platform, software as a service designed specifically to help Nepalese companies train and upskill their existing employees.
So the clients here are companies, banks, insurance, IT, hotels, manufacturing, NGOs.
Right, pretty much any organization that needs to invest in its people.
And what does the platform actually do for these businesses?
Well, it offers a library of ready-made online courses, covers both soft skills, think leadership, negotiation, customer service, and hard skills, like cybersecurity or specific software training. But crucially, the analysis highlights the customization aspect.
How so?
Companies can upload their own internal training materials, create tests based on their specific policies, manage employee certification, all directly on the platform.
And I imagine analytics are pretty key for corporate clients.
Oh, absolutely. HR departments need to see the ROI, right?
Yeah.
So the platform provides detailed analytics, reporting on who completed what training, test results, maybe even how training impacts employee KPIs or performance metrics. It supports flexible formats too, fully online or blended learning.
And the money side for this B2B platform.
It's a subscription model, usually priced per employee using the platform. The analysis estimates something in the range of, say, $5 to $10 per user per month, with potential extra fees for things like developing custom courses for a company or specific integration work.
Okay, so we have these three quite distinct models. Skill Sewa for those practical vocational skills.
Yeah.
Badeshi Basa for targeted language and cultural prep for going abroad. And Corporate Gurukul for B2B employee upskilling. Each seems to address a very specific identified need within Nepal.
Yeah, and the analysis is very clear that just having a good idea, a good model, isn't the whole story. It then dives into what it sees as the critical factors for execution. How to not just launch one of these, but actually succeed and lead the market.
And what's the absolute number one factor they stress?
Deep localization. They really, really hammer this point home.
So we're talking more than just translating some text.
Oh, way more. The analysis insists the content needs to be created from scratch by Nepali educators and Nepali practitioners, using local examples, local case studies, cultural references that genuinely resonate with the target audience there, and teaching in Nepali. The analysis presents that as pretty much non-negotiable for reaching a mass audience and being truly effective across the country.
Got it. Deep localization is paramount. What else is critical for success?
Affordability and accessibility. These are absolute must-haves. Pricing needs to be flexible. It needs to align with what individuals and companies in Nepal can actually afford. The apps themselves need to be light, not requiring the latest, most expensive smartphones. And as we touched on, that offline access for downloaded lessons, absolutely vital, given the potential for unstable internet in some places.
Makes total sense. Then there's the power of building partnerships and trust.
Yeah, this is huge for building credibility. The analysis points to how essential strategic alliances are. Partnering with industry associations, they use the Nepal Hoteliers Association as an example, or with large companies, banks, and especially recruiting agencies.
Why recruiting agencies specifically?
Well, these partnerships don't just build trust in the platform itself. They help validate the certificates it issues. And really importantly, they can directly help graduates find jobs, which, let's face it, is a primary motivation for many users.
Right. Connects back to the outcome. And it's not just about the content or partnerships, but also building a sense of community.
Yes, the analysis really highlights this. The most successful platforms aren't just static libraries of content. They're living, breathing communities.
How do they foster that?
Through features like integrated forums, maybe messenger groups for students to support each other, online Q&A sessions, or meetups with the instructors. It creates this sense of belonging, offers peer support, and that's a powerful motivator to keep people engaged over the long haul.
Okay. And finally, the analysis really emphasizes being result-oriented.
Absolutely. Marketing, proving your value, it can't just be based on vague promises. It needs to be centered on real, tangible results. The source stresses how important it is to collect and then prominently publish success stories.
Like case studies.
Exactly. Stories of graduates who found a good job or got a promotion or maybe successfully started their own small business directly because of the training they got on the platform. That's presented as the most powerful proof of the product's value, better than any ad campaign.
So if we pull all this together, what's the big picture takeaway from this analysis about this new wave of EdTech in Nepal?
Look, it's framed as much more than just another tech trend. It's seen as a fundamental opportunity to tackle a critical national challenge, that gap between the education system and what the modern economy needs by smartly leveraging technology.
And for entrepreneurs or investors looking at Nepal?
The source definitely sees massive potential for growth there. It notes the competition is still relatively low compared to more mature global markets, and it highlights the chance to have a really significant social impact alongside the business success. The models that are really poised to win, according to this analysis, are those that prioritize local needs, deliver practical skills affordably and accessibly, build strong communities around learning, and relentlessly focus on demonstrating real results for their users.
The analysis seems to wrap up with quite a powerful message, doesn't it? Suggesting that investing in these kinds of deeply localized edtech platforms, it's not just about building a profitable company.
Exactly. It's framed as an investment in Nepal's single greatest asset, its young, talented, ambitious generation. By empowering them with the skills they need, these platforms can directly contribute to building a more prosperous, more competitive future for the whole country.
It really does make you think about the potential ripple effects, doesn't it? I mean, given that deep focus the source mentions on localized solutions and building community, how might these platforms fundamentally change the social fabric, maybe even the entrepreneurial spirit in Nepal
Mm.
over the next decade, going beyond just providing job skills?
Mm.
What kind of, I don't know, aha moments or grassroots innovation might come out of this approach that perhaps more generic global platforms could never really replicate?
That's a really compelling question to chew on. What are those uniquely Nepali outcomes?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive.